Hello. Hello. Welcome back to the Vagabond Shaka Kapow Arashikage, the YouTube channel with comic book reviews, martial arts videos, and
game reviews,
all sorts of stuff. Anyway, so this is our first video in 2025, and therefore we are kind of celebrating New Year, as you can see, but we also missed out on Easter, so might just throw that in there too. And who knows, we might not make it for Halloween, so we're kind of just trying to get everything covered here. Same with Christmas. Now, you guys have met my brother, Ash, and in today's episode we're trying something new. We are gonna team up on a comic book. We've done movie reviews before, but I think this is our first comic book.
I think so too.
Yeah. Alright. In today's episode, we are gonna take a look at Sullivan's Sluggers. Yeah. So this is basically what you get if you mix Evil Dead with the movie The Warriors. And it's a comic book published by Dark Horse. This collected edition came out in 2018, and this comic book is written by Mark Andrew Smith. It's illustrated by James Stokoe, and colored by Rodrigo Aviles. Lettered and designed by Thomas Maurer. Alright, so before we continue, little brother, why don't we try out this lovely, whatever it is you've brought us.
So, this is Lagrat Julmust.
Christmas soda.
Quite
Thought we were
so.
done with that.
Apparently not, and also, they have this exact same drink, exact same brand. They just changed the Jul with påsk, so it becomes Lagrat Påskmust.
Easter soda. Why didn't you get that one? We're closer to Easter.
Yeah, I kind of messed up.
Yeah. Alright, so...
Anyway, I find it to be like 1 billion times better than the Christmas soda we got in Norway.
all the crap we tried for Christmas.
Exactly.
Should have had this. Alright, cheers dude.
Cheers, mate. Amazing.
This was pretty good.
So if you're in Sweden, get this.
Alright, so... why don't you just start us off by saying a little bit about the comic book and what it's about?
So, before that, I want to tell them how I came across it.
Sure.
When I was living in Scotland, I was studying there, I found this on Kickstarter ages ago, and I had just missed out on the Kickstarter funding thing.
When was this?
2013.
Over 10 years ago. Alright.
12 years ago. And then I've been looking for it, but I haven't really found it until last year or the year before. I found it on a Norwegian bookstore, and I put it on my Christmas list, and nobody got it. So when
You had a Christmas list?
Yeah, I had a Christmas list, and you missed out on it.
I didn't know that.
Anyway, when I got back north home, my girlfriend had gotten this, so I was stoked.
Okay.
So I saved it for my trip down here again, and I read it on the plane. I couldn't stop reading it when I took it up.
Okay.
So, what's it about? It's about a washed-up coach called Sullivan, and he's got his team of sluggers, and they're also more or less washed up and
resigned and kind of down on their luck. They don't have much ambitions.
not at all.
They're not in their best years or their best, the best era of their careers.
They at least don't really care.
They don't care, yeah. Yeah, so it's a minor league baseball team. And Sullivan, you mentioned like you felt he was kind of based on John L. Sullivan.
So for you boxing savvy guys out there, this is Sullivan.
He's got the mustache.
And they're both drunks and washed up. It's just,
Sure.
They just
different sports.
Yeah, different sports. They took off the gloves and put a baseball mitt in his hand.
Yeah, so that's the coach, and he was this talented baseball dude who messed up one match because there were like spoilers, like somebody had washed his gloves or something.
Put soap in.
Put soap. Yeah, maybe it was a prank. They put soap on his gloves, so he
becomes slippery.
Yeah,
and drops the ball.
And that was the end of his career. And ever since, he's been this, drunken,
indifferent coach who doesn't really care. And all of his players are like that, except for our main character, Duncan, who's like the new kid on the team. And he is not like the others, and he's like very talented. He's young, he's got ambitions, and we're seeing everything through his eyes because he's also kind of the audience, because he hasn't been in this crowd for that long.
So as a reader, you get the same perspective as
Duncan.
Yeah, and he's trying to get this team to like shape up and having a hard time doing so.
Pull themselves together.
And I guess the story kind of starts when they go to this, I don't know, like out in nowhere town to play this match.
And there's warning signs even on the way to the town. Like there's a bus in the way, which it says turn back on, and they just throw the bus down the hill and keep on driving.
Yeah.
One of them senses like dead people hanging from trees and stuff like that.
But they ignore all the warning signs and just continue.
And then they start playing a match, and then the sun goes down, and
that's when the fun starts.
Yeah.
And it follows kinda same type of premise as the Warriors. Like everyone in this town, everyone's out to get this team. And what do you call them? They're not they're kind of zombies, but they're not zombies. They're more like evil creatures, monsters.
Yeah, I would say a combination between zombies and monsters, and that's why it gives much more the feel of Evil Dead.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been actually set in the Evil Dead universe.
Definitely. Especially with one of the characters.
Yeah, you have people like wielding chainsaws and stuff. It's very much like Evil Dead. And it's even got that same kind of campy humor.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, and Duncan and the coach are probably the most relevant characters for the story.
But there are a lot of relevant, I wouldn't say, but memorable characters.
Memorable characters.
Which they all, like, their main characteristics is related to what they do when they play baseball. So one of them throws bombs, but he's a pitcher, so he's good at throwing.
And you have the slugger.
Yeah, he slugs. And the guy with the sword, he's also good at just batting everyone.
Yeah.
And you got the guy who runs off. He's the fastest. He can outrun anything.
And the bus driver is really cool, as you mentioned. He
basically Ash Housewares.
He's basically like Ash. He gets his hands on a chainsaw. And yeah, so that's basically the comic book. And it's a very fast-paced, action-packed horror comedy, very much like Evil Dead. But there's more to the comic book than you would think.
Oh yeah.
Like, for example, there is a really good background story to this town.
That is kind of cool. It's not just that it's this arbitrary town they gotta survive and get out. You actually get the entire backstory to what happened there.
And that was surprisingly well written. So yeah, there is... I don't want to go into too much spoilers, but there is like a very, very good story there on why this whole town turned into monsters. And so that also becomes not just a background piece of this like setting, but it becomes something they have to kind of solve
and overcome,
and also they have to, it becomes kind of like there is also a redemption story in there.
Definitely, because they could have just left, but they choose something else.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I don't think we should give away too much more.
No, I think this is enough, to be honest.
It was a very fun comic book. Would you recommend this comic book?
Definitely. Look, just if I was going to grade it, it would be like an 8 or 9 out of 10. But on the fun scale, I'd give it a 10 out of 10. Because when you start reading it, it is fun all the way through. Especially if you like gore, but like fun gore.
I mean, I would say if you're into like horror and Evil Dead type of horror, like campy, silly horror, this is definitely for you. But one thing we didn't mention is like how good the illustrations are. This is so like amazingly drawn. So the illustrations are fantastic, and as you said, it's gory and violent. And I mean, if you're just into fun comic books, if you're a comic book guy, you should also definitely read this. I don't know, maybe if you're a baseball guy as well. Maybe. I don't know.
We don't have those in Norway.
No, it's not a thing here. But yeah, so if you're into horror, comic books, and maybe baseball, this might be the comic book for you. I would also totally recommend it, and it was, I mean, again, like, it's not the deepest, and I mean, you have to kind of take it for what it is.
Exactly.
But as for what it's trying to do, it's doing it really well. So it's 8 out of 10 for me. Yeah. All right, guys. Check it out. Sullivan's Sluggers. And also, don't forget to try the Lagrat Julmust. Yeah. And Happy New Year.
Easter.
Happy Easter.
Trick or treat. Happy Halloween.
Hopefully we'll see you guys before Halloween. But who knows? Maybe this is the first and last video of 2025. I hope we get to do more stuff. Thanks for joining me on this one.
Cheers.
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 Cheers. Take care. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.
Makes it a billion times better when I'm drinking from this bottle of straight glass.
He-Man!